Okay, so in this video we are going to see how to file a RTI. Although I have tried to include everything for beginners to learn about RTI, but if still you have some query, you can contact me on my Facebook profile. So there's a list of contents that I'll be talking about. Till this point, till important tips. I'll tell you about how to draft a RTI and how to file a RTI. The last three contents are about the appeals. Okay, so let's move. So the first slide we have the meaning of right to information. What is actually right to information? So right to information is not only about getting documents or records. It also includes inspection of work, documents and records, taking notes, extract or certified copies of documents, taking certified sample of materials, and obtaining information which is in the electronic medium, like written here. So all this is written in the section 2J of the Right to Information Act. For example, like suppose you file a RTI and you get a response from the government agency about the information. So the first question which comes to your mind is, how can I trust whether the information is correct or not? So for this purpose, this section is defined. What you can do is, you can also take certified samples or inspection of work. You can just add an inspection clause in the RTI and you can ask for inspection. So we'll see this later on, what this actually means. This is just a definition of right to information. Alright, so now we have a very basic question, that what is information? So section 2I of the RTI Act says that the record includes any document, manuscript or file, any microfilm, microfiche, facsimile copy of a document, any reproduction of image or images, or any other material produced by a computer. So almost everything has been included in the definition of information. No scope has been left. Okay, so the next slide is definition of public authority. What is a public authority? How do you define a government authority or a public authority? So section 2H of the RTI Act says that public authority means any authority or body or institution of self-government established or constituted by these following points. So first it says by or under the constitution. So all the constitutional bodies like the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, CAG, Supreme Court and all other legislature, these all are treated as public authorities. Like Election Commission also is a constitutional body. Second, it says by any other law made by Parliament. So one example can be like we have Institute of Technologies Act. In Institute of Technology Act, they have defined IITs, Indian Institute of Technologies. So all the IITs will come under the RTI Act. And similarly, all the bodies or every such body will come under the RTI Act. Third, it says by any other law made by the state legislature. That is the Vidhan Sabha. So any Vidhan Sabha of any state, if any law has been made by that state, which defines, which has been made for the formation of a government body, so that will come under the definition of public authority according to the Right to Information Act. D is by notification issued or order made by appropriate government. So if any notification defines a body or an institution, so that will come under the public authority in the Right to Information Act. And includes any body owned, controlled, or substantially financed. So and non-government organization substantially financed. So any NGO in a country which takes money from the government in any form, this will come under the RTI Act. Now we move on to a basic question, that under which section you can file RTI Act. There are basically two sections, section 4 and section 6. So what is the difference? Let's see. Section 4 talks about the suo motu disclosures. So suo motu disclosures are those which the public authorities, as defined in the last slide, with the public authorities, they have to publish the information. So for example, on various websites of the government body, you will find the suo motu disclosure under section 4. So under section 4B, they have defined 17 points 17 points which define that what should be the definition of suo motu disclosure. So some of them are, for example, budget allocation. For any public authority, the amount of budget it gets from the government should be disclosed. Its planned and non-planned expenditure, how it is spending that budget, should be disclosed under section 4b suo motu. Any subsidy programs which are running in the public authority or that government institution. So any subsidy program which are running there, they have to disclose it under suo motu disclosure. So there is no need to file RTI in those points which are defined under section 4b. But as we know that this generally they do not follow it. So, or in fact many government institutions they do follow, but some of them you have to file RTI. So you can file a RTI under section 6. Under section 6 you can file a RTI and you can get the information if you do not find the disclosure under section 4b. Now the question is whom to address the application. So every government department has a public information officer for this purpose. The RTI Act says that each public authority or the government department must have an officer called as public information officer. So at the central level we call it CPIO. CPIO means Central Public Information Officer, and at the state level we call it SPIO, State Public Information Officer. So all the central government department like Home Ministry, Finance Ministry, Ministry of External Affairs, Prime Minister Office, PMO, we have one officer which are called as Central Public Information Officer in each of this department. And also there are additional public information officer who assist these CPIOs regularly. And all the departments in the state government, like we have income tax department and postal department, health department, we have various ministries of the state government. So for all those offices we have state public information officer, and this you can easily find out from the internet. You just need to go to their website and just check it there. In case you're not able to find or you do not know who the public information officer is, so the best way is on the top of your application you just write the designation to the public information officer, comma, name of the department followed by the address. So in case you're not able to find, you just write this, and this is more than sufficient for filing a RTI. I have myself done this many times. Now we will see what section 6.3 is. So section 6.3 of the RTA Act says, see, it's a very beautiful section. What it says that if by mistake your RTA application goes to a wrong department, suppose you wanted information from the health department and your RTI has reached to some other department, let's say public work department, PWD office. So what it says that when an RTI application is held by another public authority or connected with the function of another public authority, the public authority to which application is made shall transfer it in no case later than 5 days. So within 5 days that authority has to transfer your application. So if by mistake your application has gone to the PW department, I mean you didn't know the public information officer, so by mistake you have filed to the PWD department and you wanted some okay, let's say there's a construction of road in the front of your house and you're not sure whether the municipality is doing the construction work or the PWD department. So what happens is, if you have filed to the PWD department and the construction work was done by the municipality, so what the PWD is obliged to do, it must transfer your RT application within 5 days to the municipality. So this is the beauty of the section 6.3. Alright. Now we move on to fees of RTA application. So in the Central RTA Act, which was passed by the government in the year of 2005, there is a fees of 10 rupees per RTA application. So the 10 rupees fees you can pay by either demand draft or a postal order. Generally, if you want to pay by the demand draft, there is some additional fee, and moreover you need to go to the bank and it's not convenient. So the most convenient, I believe, as per my experience, the most convenient is postal order. It can be easily obtained from a post office. So this is a sample. I've just attached a pic of a postal order. It's a 20 rupees postal order, and for 20 rupees postal order, they take commission of 2 rupees. So you can just easily you can get it from post office. You need to write here paid to, that is the name and the designation and the department and public information officer, and here you need to write your name and address and just send it and detach this left part. Alright, so having learned about the fees and so much about RTI, we move on to general guidelines. So you can draft your application in English, Hindi or any other regional language. You can draft it on simple blank page, blank paper. So but some departments have made the sample format on their website. So what they have done is, on their website they have made a sample format, but it's not mandatory. If you just type your application on Microsoft Word and you take a printout and sign it, so that is more than sufficient. There is no need for the format, although they have made it. It's for their convenience only. Okay, one important thing, you must mention the duration of the information required. Suppose from the gun license department, you want the information ki how many people were given the license for this revolver. So you need to specify the duration. For what duration you want the information. Any number of questions can be asked. You can ask as many number of questions as you want. See, this point is very important. Questions should be precise and to the point. You have to be precise and to the point on the questions. Okay. Next is, you should ask for a unique file number. So what basically this is, in every government department and the public authority, whenever they're accessing some work or doing some work, what they do is they have two files. One is the working file and one is the record file. So whenever they will give you the information, they will give you information from the files. So what you should do is, you should also ask them the unique file number of the file from where they have given you the information, and also you should mention an inspection clause. You should mention an inspection clause in your RTI that you want to inspect those files from where you have given me this information. Okay, now this point, I think this is very important for all the RTI activists to understand. See, suppose a construction of road is being done in your area. Suppose gully number 1 it's going under construction of road. So you cannot ask from the public authority that why the construction is being done in gully number 1 and why not in gully number 2. Because these things are not on record. Information which you desire to ask, they must be on record. You can obviously ask them that please give me all the photocopies of the tender obtained. Please give me a photocopy of the final tender. Please give me how much estimates were made for this. You can always ask because these are on record. But you cannot ask them that why construction was done in the street 1 and not street 2. Alright. And you should always remember to take a photocopy of your application and the DD or postal order from which you are paying the fees, because it's nice to have a proof of your RTA later on. And always send it through a speed post or registered post. If you send it by speed post or registered post, then it's fine, the application reaches early, and also you have a proof. On the internet you always have a speed post and registered post tracking. So you can check it from there on which date the PIO received the RTA application. And if possible, also attach an acknowledgement from the RTA. With the RTA, you should also attach an acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is easily available on the post office. In the post office, it's easily available. Okay, so this is a sample format of the RTI. On the top, it's written Public Information Officer, name of department and address. Then just write the date. You should write your name, address. Okay, you can write your telephone number and email ID also. It's not mandatory, but if you write, it's fine. But it's not mandatory. In the RTI Act, you are required to write only your name and address. Then you write here that what is the mode of fee you are paying. Like I have told that IPO is the most convenient, so you just write rupees 10 by IPO number this and the date of the IPO and this thing. So next is information requested. You write here question 1, 2, 3, whatever the information you want, and date, place, and just write here enclosure IPO number which is same as the mentioned here, and you sign this your application and then just speed post it. Alright, now disposal of request. So I have already told you that 10 rupees is the fees which is required for obtaining information from central government office. But however, earlier rupees 10 was also the fees for state government offices. But what some state governments have done is they have amended their RTA Act. So with the amendment, like Gujarat government, in Gujarat I think the fees is rupees 20 for for a RTI. So there you need to pay rupees 20 for getting information through RTA Act. So this can be easily checked on internet that what is the fees for various states. Yes, and for people belonging to below poverty line, no fee shall be charged from them. And the RTA Act says that information should be provided within 30 days. Within 30 days you should get the information. Next, section 7(3) of the RTA says that suppose you have asked for photocopy of a tender of some project. So suppose the tender contains 30 pages. So rupees 2 per page shall be charged. So you need to pay rupees 60 to the public information officer, and you will get a notification from the PIO and you have to pay after he sends you the notification. Similarly, for any electronic data if you have obtained, rupees 50 per CD shall be charged. Alright, so till here I have explained you how to file a RTI in very simple steps. The next part of the video, it basically deals with the appeals. So what appeals are? Suppose you do not get your reply within 30 days, or you are not satisfied with the reply. You had asked for something, they have replied for something else. So what you can do in this case is you can make a first appeal to first appellate authority. You have to make an appeal, and within 30 days from such decision. So alright, so in the first appeal, what they say is section 19(1) of the RTA Act says that besides the public information officer, every government department must appoint an officer to whom first appeal be made. So this officer shall be senior to the PIO. So to this officer, it is called first appellate authority. To the first appellate authority, you can file a first appeal. And as soon as you get the reply from the public information officer and you feel that you are not satisfied with the reply, so within 30 days you can file an appeal to the first appellate authority. And it also says that when you are filing the appeal, so the day when your appeal reaches to the appellate authority, the first appellate authority, 30 days from that day, within 30 days from that day, a decision or a reply should come from the first appellate authority. So in most of the cases, people get the desired information from the first appellate authority. In case they do not, what to do? There is a provision for second appeal also. In section 19(3) of the RTI Act, it says that if you are not satisfied with the reply of the first appeal, or you do not get any reply at all, you can file a second appeal. So to whom you shall file a second appeal? It says that with the State Information Commission, SIC, or Central Information Commission. So SIC at the level of state and CIC at the level of center. So second appeal must be filed within 90 days from the date of decision made by first appellate authority. So suppose today is 1st April and a decision has come to you, or reply has come to you from the first appellate authority. So within 90 days of that reply, you need to file a second appeal to the second appellate authority, which is SIC at state and CIC at center. So what do these SIC and CIC do? What are their powers and functions? They are mentioned in the RTI Act. So next we are going to see the penalties. So section 21 is the strongest act of the RTI Act. Without this section 20, this RTI Act is nothing. So the section 20 powers the SIC or the CIC, the commissions. Section 20, it gives a power to the commission that they can impose a penalty of rupees 250 per day. They can impose a penalty of rupees 250 per day till the application is received or information is furnished. But this penalty shall not exceed rupees 20,000. What does it mean is that suppose on 1st of April you file a RTI Act. You file a RTI. You must get the reply by 1st of May because you must get it within 30 days. Suppose you get on the 20th of May. So it's a clear delay of 20 days. So you can go to appeal to SIC or CIC as the case may be, and they can impose a fine of rupees 250 per day for 20 days because you got the information 20 days later. So you multiply it by this comes to be 5,000. So for 20 days rupees 5,000 shall be deducted from the salary of public information officer. And this is the real fear or concern which is in the mind of public information officer. If this section wouldn't have been there, so the RTI Act would have been nothing. So this is the strongest act. So I think you must have got an idea of how to file a RTI. And if you have a query, you can contact me. I have given you my contact details in the first slide. Jai Hind.